What's up, y'all? A little faith, and welcome to episode number 25 of the Fagnostic Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Hayes, and if I'm still giving you episodes, it means that I'm still looking for answers. Y'all, we are finishing off the year 2021, ranking in the top 10 of religious podcasts in the country, all because of you listening every week, reviewing and rating the show. I truly thank you for being so supportive of my spiritual searching and hearing what my guests have to say about theirs. Today's guest is a friend and teacher of mine, Brandon Anthony. He's the founder and creator of Naked Men's EROS and Cannabis Movement. His Naked Men's yoga and tantra workshops were created as a safe space for LGBTQ men to release shame and deepen their connection to self and community. These heart-opening and healing experiences have been shared in 9 countries and 26 cities across the globe, featured on multiple television shows, including Jack Whitehall's Travels with My Father on Netflix, and highlighted in articles for Queerty, Passport Magazine, and the Gay Cities publication. He has been instrumental in my own sexual healing, and I cannot wait for you to hear this episode. So few of us are exempt from sexual shame in a society that still stigmatizes what we do, how we do it, and with whom we do it. Brandon is doing great work to counter that in gay men. Welcome to the show, Brandon. But Brandon,
the sexy and spiritually nuanced yogi. I'm so glad you're here today. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. I've benefited from what you put into the world, and I'm really excited. As someone, I can only speak from a gay man's point of view, but most of us have some sort of body shame because of what we have been through in childhood and trying to cover up our insides. We try to perfect our outsides. And I feel like you have developed such a beautiful conversation around marrying the two, the inner and the outer. And I'm just so happy that you are here today to talk to us about it. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
So the first question I ask at the top of every episode is, are you a believer?
No, not in like a God. No, yeah. I definitely believe in a connectedness in the universe between all people, all living things. I think there are moments in life that I would describe as God or godlike, definitely, but not in the sense of an actual being.
Yeah, sure. Awesome. And can you identify your pronouns for us?
He, him.
Awesome. Well, let's get going. So Tell us who you are, where you live, how you got here, what you do, and why I brought you on to this podcast.
Yay. Okay. Well, my name is Brandon Anthony. I lead wellness events for men, naked wellness events for men all over the world, honestly, right now, which is really awesome. Really, really great. And there's naked yoga, there's naked dance, there's tantric workshops, there's body workshops and massage workshops. It's kind of a whole thing.
How did you get into that niche of wellness, being nude?
You know, which it's all the things that I love in my real life. It's like, that's really what happened. I was like, I've been teaching fitness, I've been teaching dance, I've been teaching, every kind of format you could teach at a gym for years, maybe 15 years, and had resisted doing yoga because it was kind of the one class that I just had for myself. I've been doing it, since college because they made me do it in college. I loved it. I took multiple classes a week, but every time the offer to teach it was brought up to me, I said no. And then, maybe, I guess, what was that, 5 years ago? A place I was teaching for, Yoga Works at the time, called me in just to let me know that since I'd been there so long, over 10 years, I could do the training for free if I wanted. So I entered it really from a place of just like, okay, well, it's free. I love yoga. I've been doing it 17 years now. I don't know if I'd actually want to teach it, but it's something that I really, really love. And the way that I always do it, when I do it at home, when I do it by myself, is, I put on music, I get a little high, and I'm naked on my mat with candles. And it just really, I can feel my body. I can see every inch of my body. It kind of like, it felt like therapy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I finally got out of training, I realized, I think maybe I'll just kind of do this on the side. I'll see if anybody's interested in doing it. I'll see if they relate to it. And then a lot of people, seem to connect to it. And I developed it from there.
Yeah. And you do have a pretty loyal following as well. You and I think I found you first on Instagram, and I was just, out of my own, like, my own lustful desires. I was like, oh, this guy's hot, I'm going to follow him. Right. And then I started seeing like, oh my gosh, this is actually this is pretty intense. And so I signed up for one of your workshops and felt at the time, I felt like my body was probably in the best shape of its life. And I felt really good going in, and I got there and immediately, I mean, everyone and nobody has to disrobe. It's just encouraged because it is part of getting to know yourself and breaking down those walls of shame and trauma. And so I did. And I immediately was just like, I mean, every gay man has a sense of like body dysmorphia, no matter how ripped you are.
Yeah.
Sometimes the more rich, the more you have. But I tell you
100.
what, it did not take long for those walls to just crumble. And I think it's the vibe that you set in that room. And it all comes from you, and you're checking with people, and there's something so spiritual about your aura that is a little disarming, like, to be quite honest. I mean, like, but in a good way, because it's a way, it's something about you does not allow for there to be a wall. And so anyone that came into your presence, I just felt like I was watching the room and seeing walls just collapse. And it's men of all shapes and sizes and colors, and just it was such a beautiful, like, I mean, it was just spiritual. I mean, it was just this, and I'm not a yogi, it's for all levels, but it really did like do a lot. I did a couple more as well, and it did a lot for me just to feel, I mean, it changed the way that I go out into the world, the way that I go out and, to bars at night. I mean, even the way that I work out, I mean, it's just different because of this in touchness with myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you said that. That's honestly the best compliment in the world I can get. I feel like, and I said this before when I'm talking with my friends, I feel like the first 15 minutes before I even start the workshop is really my job.
Yeah.
Like really the most important, like I've been teaching fitness and yoga and dance classes since I was 13. I can kind of do that in my sleep. It's the 15 minutes before we're doing anything where that has to be created, where everyone has to feel welcome and warm and seen. And that's the most important thing, because when we start from that place, there's love in the air for each other, for ourselves. There's just like the energy is right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everything that follows, I think, goes deeper if we start from that place.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, how did you grow up? Did you grow up in church or anything?
Yeah, definitely. It was awful.
And where are you from again?
I'm from Indiana.
Okay.
So, like very red, Mike Pence, like red state, but also Pete.
But also Pete, exactly.
Also, these are newer things. This was not when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s. It was super, super red state, Indiana. Like, my family, my dad and my mom aren't married. So I split my time between both of their households, one with my dad and my stepmom, where I have 3 siblings over there. And then with my mom, who is married now, but at the time was single. So it was just me and my mom and our house there. And it was, both houses were Christian. So I went to 2 different, depending on which house I was at, I went to 2 different churches. My dad's church was kind of like, we had like a young hip pastor. He was like the cool pastor, like that vibe. And my mom's church was like the old, gays go to hell kind of pastor.
Yeah.
Super fun, super fun. And then I had Bible study on Wednesdays. It was a whole thing. It was definitely a whole thing. Until we were teenagers, then we had the choice. I think it was like 16. You could choose from then on if you wanted to keep going to church or not. And as soon as the first Sunday after my 16th birthday, I was like, never again.
This is.
Yeah, totally. I decided not to go back.
So your deconstruction then started pretty young.
Yeah. I mean, I was still Christian. I would still have considered myself Christian. I just didn't want to go to church anymore.
Right.
It took me probably until later in college to really begin to even think about not calling myself a Christian, which sounded crazy at the time,
Yeah.
like, because I grew up traumatized, but loving religion in a way, like loving kind of,
Well, and where
the
we're
beautiful
from,
things I found there.
it's not just like a place to go on Sundays. It truly is part of your identity in that it determines your social network. It determines probably what school district in it. It determines your socioeconomic status. Every aspect of life in the Midwest and the South is determined by church. I mean,
it's what church you go to is one of the first things people ask, like
it's
when you meet new people, families. And people will judge you. Oh, they go to that,
Yes,
that
I know.
That guy, like it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's like my parents were cool. It wasn't that they were anti-gay or made me feel that way at all. But sitting in church every Sunday, listening to someone tell me that I was going to hell was just like, was traumatic.
So when did you?
What were you gonna say?
When did you said that you still claimed Christian for a while.
Yeah.
What was it that made you think one day, or maybe over the course of time, this is not where my belief system lies?
Oh, I feel like it wasn't like it was probably an over the course of time thing, because I can't even pinpoint it. It's been so long since I called myself a Christian. I feel like it was definitely probably early 20s, like getting out into the world in Chicago and like having a boyfriend for the first time and like being gay, but still in the closet from my parents, I think is when I really started to think about the fact that I don't know if I believe in God, but I didn't tell my family. That was like, that happened like 10 years later. That happened like maybe at 30, I think was the first time that I was like, I'm not gonna pray, I'll be respectful, bow my head, but I don't pray anymore. I just don't do that, and they're all super Christian, but they're cool.
But see,
cool
that's how it should be, because it shouldn't be that this is my belief system, so it has to be yours. It should be, this is what guides me, and I hope and pray that you have something that guides you.
Yeah, totally.
But that ain't how it is most of the time.
No, I'm lucky, and I think that they understand, they understand that my relationship with religion is going to be different than theirs, that there's a trauma of being queer that none of them know what that's like. So as much as they I'm sure would love for me to be a Christian, my dad has said that he's like, I have no idea what it was like being a young gay Black kid closeted in Indiana. I can't even begin to know what that journey was for you. So luckily they're pretty understanding.
It sounds like it. You're so fortunate, because I'm sure you know people in your hometown that did not have that same journey.
Yeah, totally. I am lucky on my dad's side. Totally,
yeah, because it's even, even under the large umbrella of church, I feel like it's even, and this I guess is common sense, but it's worth referencing, that Black gay men have a much harder time than white gay men, especially religiously, because there is such a masculine, the Black church as a whole, there's such a masculine, I don't want to say misogynistic, because that's a broad stroke, but there is such a force and an encouragement to be the butchest, the most manly. There's this, where does that come from, you think?
Oh, racism. Honestly, like being in America these past whatever many years. I think that in general, Black men have that in the Black community. There's this kind of image, or there's this push to be super super masculine and super tough, and I do think part of it comes from the fact that there's fear, that you're a Black man in America, and that you want to portray strength in situations where we often don't necessarily feel strong. When you can be shot for running a red light, it's hard to walk around the world feeling strong. And I also think that it's been put on us in a way of the Black stud, the Black stallion, all the way, back from slavery, we're kind of positioned like animals. more so than humans to be bred checking our teeth, checking our muscularity. I had a guy at an event last year say like, like black kids are so much more athletic than white kids. And this person teaches track at a high school. He like asked me why that was. And, like, it's just not true. Like our obesity rates in the black community are actually far higher than they are, unfortunately, in the white community. So, that these particular kids he knows fit a stereotype of the black male being athletic,
Yeah.
And this is in 2020, people are still saying things like that. So that's why I think one of the things I love about my events are that there are so many black men and men of color in general, because we haven't really had the space to do what I call like white woman wellness. That very much like, I worked for Equinox, I worked for Soul Cycle,
Right.
I worked for Yoga Works. I worked for these places where people are paying sometimes, $300 a month and higher, or $40 to $60 a class. When I was teaching at Soul Cycle in New York, like these, that white woman wellness brand sometimes doesn't always, paint a picture that's welcoming to everyone. And of course, it's not just white women. There are lots of people of color who go to these places, but it's a general kind of energy of like the Lululemons and the $200 pants and all of that. And I wanted to kind of like get rid of that shit, and make it more welcoming to people who haven't grown up in those communities, haven't grown up, with yoga and Pilates and all of these things that are about self-care.
How did you, in entering into that world? I mean, like, I know you've been in fitness for a long time, so you've already established yourself in that way, but did you find it harder to break into the yoga world, being a black gay man versus a white gay man or a white woman?
I don't know, because yoga I never did for anyone but myself.
Sure.
That I was teaching every other format. As soon as I finished my training with Yoga Works, the naked yoga pop-up classes I was doing were building so fast that I quit within like 3 months at Yoga Works. I never taught a yoga class for them. So I was teaching.
And clearly it's working out, because I see those arched entryways, and it looks like it's working for you. I'm very glad to hear that.
Thank you. I like my entryways. That was literally the seller. I walked in and was like, I want it. Yep. These entryways I love. Yeah, I like drama.
Well, I do too, just not as a participant, but as an observation.
Right. In architecture.
Maybe I'll like stir it a little bit sometimes, but never. So tell me, if for someone that doesn't know yoga, I mean, I feel like in the fitness world, sometimes there is a connotation around yoga that it's not as much about strength. It doesn't develop muscle. Like, for someone that doesn't know yoga,
really funny, but I totally get it.
Yeah. How would you introduce yoga to someone who has no earthly idea what it involves?
Like yoga can be whatever you need it to be. That's kind of why I love it. There are so many different types of yoga. So when people say that, I'm like, well, yeah, you can take a yoga class where you lie on the floor for 2 hours straight. And that can be yoga. It can be a yin yoga class or a restorative class, yeah, definitely. My classes are not like that. So I don't want people, when they come, I teach, because I come from fitness and I come from dance, I like to build heat. So definitely there's a flow and athleticism to my class, but it's really going to be different with each and every instructor. So it's always hard to tell people, what yoga is going to be best for them. You can do yoga that's completely meditation based, really. So like where there's barely any poses, which is closer to how yoga started, but
well, if someone's looking at your classes, because again, you teach all over the country and the world, and y'all can we're going to plug all your social media as well, so people can actually find you and book you. But what is someone, let's say in Indiana or in Alabama, where I'm from, someone who has a little more resistance around opening up physically, sexually, spiritually, and maybe, just doesn't feel good about being in front of other people with the shirt off even. What is it that you provide, or what would you tell them if someone came to you with those resistances?
That literally every person in the room has those.
Yeah.
I know it's in being from Indiana, being from the places that we're from, it's like I relate. So when I go to a place, you know, like Charlotte or Dallas, that's maybe not quite as opening as New York and Berlin, you know, and I like enter with a place with people who have grown up from that place. I think that even though I'm not from the South, being from the Midwest and being from religion, I think there's an understanding of kind of how I get that. What I think maybe they don't see are all the little things that make it hard for me and everyone else in the room too. I think sometimes because of what I do, people would assume that it's really easy for me, but I have scoliosis and I didn't take off my shirt comfortably, you know, until I was like, I don't know, in college, really, you know, like I was a dancer and I was in theater, so I had to be shirtless on stage. And if I was moving or dancing, I didn't mind it. But standing in front of people, like at a pool party or something, you know, was awful for me at 16. Because one side was so obviously deflated and lower than the other. That was before I started doing yoga and working out, and I balanced out a bit. I was teased, called Ethiopian boy for 10 years of my life because mean Indiana kids saw some African commercial with hungry kids. And because I was underweight, they teased me about being scrawny and weak and a pussy and like all these different things. So it's like, no, I didn't grow up with weight issues, but I have things in my body just because I stand in the room. The person in the room that you think is the best body, we kind of mentioned that earlier, you know, the best, oh my God, he must work out 24 hours a day. He looks like a fucking superhero. He probably has a bunch of things that a list of things he could tell you he hates about his body, you know, you know, every person in the room is feeling that way. And I think like what they all discover is like, kind of you were talking about, like 3 minutes in, you almost forget you're naked because it becomes so normal. We're all just naked, you know, like you're not on stage, you know, we're all just in space naked. And it's funny. I love watching after class people like talking and socializing, because you would have no idea they're not wearing clothes. Like if you were standing in the other room, it would just sound like a bunch of guys talking after class, like completely about their lives, what they do for work. Some of them have kids and wives, you know, it's like not always just gay men. So it's fascinating to see like those moments.
That's why I wanted you to be on here to talk about this, because there's something that you provide that is not healed through any other belief system that I know of. I mean, I used to, when I was like at my, you know, my most in shape and ripped, I would get really upset if I like bent over and would feel my stomach layer on top of my underwear.
Wow.
And now instead of now I just name it. I'm like, well, that's Papa John. That's Chipotle.
Yes,
but those things, there's something about yoga too. I feel like in working out, there's always an attainable goal that like, oh, great, I've got this number, you know, bench today. I squatted this much today. But with yoga, there seems to be this constantly evolving benchmark of success, because it's like every day is different. There's no perfection. It's you can be excellent every day, but excellent today may be a little lower than it was yesterday, and tomorrow may be a different level of excellence you've not hit before.
Totally. And everybody's working at their own edge. Everyone's always working. It's always hard for everyone in the room, even the level 4 person.
Well, stress that though, because me going into yoga originally, and even me doing my bar classes now, I watched there are days where it's a breeze. There are days where I can't even like stand on one foot for 10 seconds. So like speak on that, because I think that's one of the biggest turnoffs to yoga is that first class, when they're instructing you to do poses. My first yoga class was actually at Crunch Gym. And I remember sitting there and I don't know if I was laughing or crying, because it was just like, this is ridiculous. This is absurd. Why? I can't do it. It was just, but the more I did it, the more that it's such a fulfillment that I don't even know how to compare.
Oh my gosh. I try to joke a lot with folks in class, especially when we're balancing on one foot or doing something that can feel super stupid and silly if you don't know how to do it, or if it's your first few times working on it. I want them to know, I let them know I fall all the time. I've been doing yoga for 20 years now. I still fall. Everybody in the room falls, like no one cares is one of my favorite things to say. Literally no one cares, like sometimes we think we think because we're the star of our own life, obviously, we think we're on stage. We think the camera's on us.
Yeah.
And like, oh, I fell out of it. I got to, this awkward laugh. Oh, I can't do it. Like literally everyone in the room is so focused on themselves. Everyone is the star, for themselves. No one cares that you fell out, so fuck it, like
I actually
fun,
like when the fallout happens, when the wiggle happens, because I just look at it as like, that's an extra ab workout that I didn't have without the wiggle, because you're countering yourself whenever you fall out. So it's like, oh, that's just an extra. Oh my gosh. That's one less crunch I'm going to do later on.
Yes, why not?
Did you ever run into backlash from like other yogis or people? Because some people take yoga in a very like not lighthearted way, and which I think is counterproductive to its impact. But like, did anyone ever say like, you're just sexualizing this spiritual experience? Like what's happened?
Totally. It was shocking that now I'm like, whatever, I'm like, my skin is a little thicker. But when I first started to like tour a bit, and it was just kind of getting a little big. And I don't even remember what Instagram reposted me, but some Instagram reposted this it's like a very artsy photo that we shot in like an LA light with light behind us. And it's all these different men and they're in tree pose facing me and I'm facing them and we're all in tree. Like, and it's like, there's nothing erotic about it. And it's just like 8 bodies in a yoga pose. And it was reposted by a pretty big account. And I remember being super excited and I went to go comment to thank them for posting it, and saw like some of the comments that people had written. And it's like, was like 90%, this looks dope. Oh my God, I would so do this. Oh, I love that there's brown bodies. Oh, I love that there's queer bodies. I love that, and it was like 10% judgment. Like either jokes or just like mean stuff about people or me. But the one that really like hurt my feelings and that I don't think I'll ever forget was this woman said something about how she hates that people are falling for this. It was like I was this like used car salesman trying to like trick, like using my body and using sex to get them into yoga. That this is not what yoga is, this is disgusting. It was like really a whole paragraph. And I like started to like, go in. I was like, oh, here we go. And then I took a breath and I stopped and I deleted everything I was about to write. And I turned off notifications and put my phone down. And I think that was the first time that I realized, oh, like people are going to completely misinterpret my intentions. Like, this is not at all about this. This is about that. This is about healing. This is about wanting everyone to take off that mask and love themselves and feel their body and feel comfortable being around people. This is not about tricking anyone or like, like you've just completely misconstrued me into some like villainous character. I don't think I was like really prepared for that type of personal and just she was sure she knew exactly who I was. This person who's never taken a workshop, never spoken to me, doesn't know anything about me on the internet, like wrote an essay about how awful I am. That was jarring. Definitely.
And obviously it says more about her than it does you, but it just sucks that people
totally.
I mean, that's the symptom of social media, especially after the past 5 years, is that it just the wrong people are empowered to have the loudest voice, and that's so unfortunate. But people like you, this is what this podcast is for too, is to showcase the people who need to have the louder voices. So I'm just glad that you're out there doing it. Speaking of masks, though, what did COVID do to your business and to your workshops?
Oh my God, it destroyed it in a way. Like at the time I was just like, my whole job was touring and getting people who've never met to get into a crowded room and be intimate with each other. Mm-hmm. All the things you were not allowed to do. So I had a lot of retreats that I had to cancel. A lot of like deposits I lost. It was really like a shit show for a minute. But the beauty of it was that it pushed me to start filming and doing things for the OnlyFans and Just for Fans sites, which I had greatly resisted.
Sure.
There was no Just for Fans at the time, or maybe there was, but no one was talking about it. So I had heard about OnlyFans, and I'd had people for years messaging me and DMing me like, would you please do an OnlyFans? Would you please consider like filming, like because I teach in so many cities, there's some like, like Tel Aviv or Berlin, but I'm in one time a year. So they don't see me very often.
Right.
So they were like, would you consider doing this online? And I was like, no. It's an in-person experience, and the magic is created in the room. I was really like deliberate about it, and then it got to the point where I was like, okay, well, I'm literally gonna lose my apartment. I can't, I cannot afford to not look into this option. I have a huge network of people all over the world who are also quarantined looking for something. No, it's not what it would be if we were in the space, but if I get over my ego, maybe I can create something that's different and also great, but a different thing online. So that ended up kind of changing my whole kind of world, that really connected. Those videos and those two profiles, the Just for Fans, OnlyFans, are really connecting with people. And I think it allowed me to actually reach a lot of people that I wouldn't have reached before.
Absolutely.
Having a, like a preview of what it might be like in the experience, or getting an idea of how I talk and my teaching style, being able to see that, I think really helps, people get a sense of what we do. So I'm glad that it happened.
I have a little confession. You may not believe me. I have never looked at an OnlyFans or a Just for Fans.
No, not even one. Okay.
No, and there's no
previews right on Twitter or something.
I had an. I don't know if I should voice this. I had an ex that really struggled with pornography, and it really impacted our intimacy and our sex life. To a place where I really felt not worthy or not physically appealing. And so it's impacted how I participate in that medium in terms of like viewing and stuff. And not to say that like I ain't looked at porn before, like, come on, I'm a gay man, but it's very cognizant in my mind of how it does impact my intimacy when I'm with others in the flesh. Not that I'm with that many others in the flesh, God forbid, but I someday I hope to be with a lot more people in the flesh, and I find that it impacts my experience, and I don't ever want to do to someone how that ex made me feel because of their obsession with that medium. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And
but again, that's why I love what you do.
Have had that struggle. Yeah, that was kind of the thing. Is like, I think I didn't want to do it because I was like, I don't want to do porn. I love porn. I've go-goed and stripped, and been in sex worker situations in the past. I have sex worker friends. It's not about that. I just was like, I don't want to do porn. Like what I do, the reason it works in the room is because of the energy that we create in the space. If you just film it, it's going to look just porny. Right. But I think over time and with practice, I have really managed to find like my tone. It's like I almost like had to switch to becoming. I'm more of a director than anything now. But like the way that I film and the music that I use and the way I use my voice on camera took the year of the pandemic for me to get good at. But now I would like to think, and I've heard from feedback from people who watched it, it's like they're like, oh, what you do, it really isn't pornography. Like it really is like it's a story. It's storytelling and emotion and like. Yeah, it's full bodied, and it's the closest thing, to what it feels like when I've taken your workshop in person. I do feel like, so I hope that that's there. But then obviously if you're looking at clips of someone, just getting penetrated or, doing oral, then it can be taken out of context, I think.
Of course.
In that way. But
well, that's why I love your classes, because it never, and I think I just did one of the tantrics, but nothing, and it wasn't. But again, like there were couples there that would only tantric with each other because it was a growth thing for them in a relationship. But one of the things that really impacted me, that I don't know the guy's name. I can picture him because of how it made me feel. But there was I was paired with someone that, to be quite honest, I would not notice at a bar. I would probably not notice at Target. And yet, you know, because of this mood that's created in this room, I'm present and I'm here and I'm engaging. And and again, you know, we're both naked and we were hugging, just hugging. And I just started to cry because it was like it was a connection that I don't know that I'd ever felt before with another man.
Yeah.
Because it was just,
oh, I love that.
And it takes two to create that energy. It's not just that I was feeling this thing. It was something that, and I don't know what it was, but it was something that we, and it was such a spiritual experience. And that's what I want people to know about your work, is that that's why yoga has such a spiritual element to it, because there's a connection to the divine that happens when there's a collective intent to progress or to elevate or to have a higher vibration. And you really build that into the room.
Thank you. Yeah. I love that you talked about that, like those moments. That to me is what I would describe as God.
Yes, I agree.
Is, you know, that's what I mean by that connectivity with yourself, where your walls just kind of mesh and you're one with your partner or with yourself and with everyone in the room.
Well, and even like,
I love that.
You know, I'm sure evangelicals will scream at me for what they will call misinterpreting this scripture, but there's a scripture that I actually do find value in as it relates to the divine. And it's the one that says, where two or more are gathered, there I am also. And where I'm I don't know what I believe to this day, but if I'm to believe in a spiritual singular being, I see and experience them, because it's not a he or her. I experience them in connection between another person and me, and that energy between us. And that's the only place, but in that's also where I'm seeing the lack of divine, is in the interaction and connection between people. And that's why I don't know what to believe, because I'm seeing God and anti-God in the same place. And it's like, well, who's real? Who's who? Does that make sense?
Kind of.
It's just, I guess I'm saying
they're both real, aren't they? I mean,
well, and that's,
we're not.
But I don't know if I can believe in both. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but
the yin and the yang.
But that energy that you create was such a connection to the divine with what you foster with these people. And what kind of growth, because people come back to you over and over again. What kind of growth have you seen? Because I'm sure it impacts people's careers, people's relationships, people's friendships, people's connection with their family. Like, what have you experienced as the teacher?
Oh my God, I wonder. Yeah, I think one of my favorite things is the retreats. I do like the retreats are like anywhere from 4 to 6 days. So I really have a lot of time with the same kind of group of guys, whether it's, 10 to like, I think 18, 20 is the most we've ever done. And I have multiple guys who come every single year to retreats. And I love seeing and hearing about their journeys. And I love that at the retreats, we have so much time to talk too. So I get to hear about what brought them to the work, why they need it, so I think there was one guy, I'm not going to call him out, but he was going through a really tough breakup during the first retreat that we did in Fire Island Pines. And when I saw him a year later in Fire Island Pines, he was renewed and he was himself again. It was just like, it was beautiful to see, and I'll see him again next year. So it's beautiful that I get to see him every single year. We were like almost growing up together. He saw me. It was my first Fire Island Pines retreat. It's my first retreat, not in California, not in my home state. I'm sure I fucked up a ton. It was bumbling. It was a lot. And now I do this regularly. So he's at the same time watched me grow into this work and grow into who I am. Definitely. It's kind of beautiful doing that. Seeing
absolutely. And you do cannabis flows as well. You incorporate
I do
cannabis into the work. Talk about that.
Yeah, I that's not a part of our regular workshops, but in LA and New York and at the retreats, I'll teach a pop-up cannabis flow class. And I love adding cannabis for this type of work is really great because it makes those first 15 minutes much easier. Like that part where people are a little like, woo, I'm getting naked, like when everyone's a little bit high together, that part is very, very easy. You're kind of family right away, It's one of the closest ways to make friends, to smoke with them.
Absolutely.
The guard comes down pretty quickly. Definitely.
I have this weed journal that I only let
Oh my
myself
God, a
write
weed
in
journal.
when I'm high because, and honey, I have one friend who knows that if I die, it's her job to get this because there's some crazy shit in here. Not, but it's not crazy.
Okay.
I don't mean to put that
She's got
judgment
to
on
get
it.
the weed journal.
But like,
Oh my God.
if just like, you know, a random person read this, they'd be like, this guy was troubled. But I'm not. But this is just, you know what I mean? Like,
It's
this is
not. It's
how.
just your
This
it's your free
is
form moment. Okay.
yes. No, this
Oh
is
my God.
like this is my Bible. This is, I mean, I'm
I
not
love
saying that
it.
I'm a prophet, but I'm just saying that's my weed journal.
Someone I was going to say I'm so curious about what would be in a weed journal.
Times that
I
sometimes
smoke
I
all
go
the
back.
time, so I mean,
I don't smoke all the time. It's a very like
it's a
specific
specific
thing for
moment.
me.
Okay.
Like every new moon, I get super stoned. Most full moons, I'll get stoned. And then like
Okay.
other just meditative experiences, or sometimes just for fun because I like to giggle.
Yeah.
But it also it's just so there's a prep that I do for participating in cannabis because I feel like there are different pathways I could take once it hits. And I have to decide beforehand, like, what's my intent tonight? Is it to de-stress? Is it to elevate beyond an obstacle in my life? What's my intent here? So that journal is the
Oh my
recipient.
God. That's what that is.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. I have a couple strands that I love for tantric work. There are some that like are really good for like body and mind melding and connection and
Yes.
relaxation. There's one that like when I have a couple session, I like, and if they both smoke, that I'll have them hit from the bong together before we begin. And I
That's
find that
awesome.
it's really great for sex. It's really great for feeling all the things, all the sensations, for slowing down, for getting
Yes.
away from performance and actually just being
Yes.
in the moment, to actually
Yes.
listening to your body's part, your partner's body,
Yep.
instead of just going through the motions. So I love using it
Yeah.
in the tantric sessions to get people
Agreed.
closer to where I want them. I'm sure there's been studies from people who are much smarter than me about that stuff. But cannabis is, we've talked about how it's good for sex drive,
Yeah.
um, and good for connection. So bringing it into the tantric work has
Absolutely.
been really fun.
Yes. Well, to wind things down, like, what are the things that you would say to someone growing up gay and specifically Black in Indiana or any other small town who's struggling with accepting their religion, whether it's Christianity or not? What's your advice to someone who has? Because my goal is that if there's one ear that finds this podcast and is intrigued by the context that they are, hopefully something will resonate with them. So what would you say to someone who's struggling with whether to leave their faith or religion?
Oh, I would say that I think that they should. I think that you can take the good, you can
Mm,
take all of the great lessons that you learned without belonging to any type of organized faith. But that
okay.
I think you need to belong to yourself.
Sure.
I spent a lot of time making decisions to please other people, whether it
Mm-hmm.
was my parents or exes or or religious figures in my life that I looked up to. And I feel like I wasted a lot of time,
Mm,
honestly. And at the same time, obviously, all those things made me who I am today. So not really,
yeah.
but looking back, I'm like, who would I be had I not spent, those 4 years abusing myself or praying every night to not be gay anymore, instead of just loved myself and known
Yeah.
that if whoever created me, whether that be a God being or not, loves me too,
Sure.
I would have saved myself a lot of heartache, a lot of wasted
Yeah.
tears.
What would you
Yeah.
say to the divine, assuming that they are real and standing before you?
Oh, I don't know if I'd say anything nice.
That's usually the
Oh,
response I get.
oh, okay, got it. Wow. Okay, I thought that was going. I was like, oh no, I don't know if I have anything nice to say.
No, my favorite,
Um,
and I think it actually
yeah,
came from a minister, was "fuck you." Like, what are you doing?
yeah. I mean, that was what I thought, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, don't say that. Yeah, I
No,
definitely,
say it. That's where, I mean, that's if,
a lot of people, a lot. There's a lot of pain and death and suffering.
yeah,
A lot, like, I mean, just like an unimaginable amount.
yeah,
has been caused by religion.
Yeah, and still is.
So,
I mean,
and still is constantly.
Our world is suffering from it, like on a climate change issue. I mean, every problem in the world, stems from religion. Every single fucking problem.
Yeah, it can all be tied back.
Yeah.
So, so if the divine exists, I think there would be some frustration that this was allowed to happen in your name and whatever, however you want to say it. Yeah, definitely.
Yep, I completely agree. Where can people find you?
On Instagram, Brandon Anthony Eros.
Can you spell that for the dummies like me?
Yeah, totally. It's my name.
I meant the Eros part.
Oh, got it. ANTHONY and then EROS.
Thank you.
Yes, dummies. I forget that like this is not a word everybody
I know
all the time.
You're more involved than us, Brandon. Don't forget.
No, not at all. Should I say the grown folks one too? The Twitter?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if we'll say the grown folks one. Twitter is twitter.com/nakedvinceyoga.
Yes. Okay. I don't know if I have a Twitter account. I think I have 8 followers. And I usually just will like.
Got it. You don't use it very often?
No, I don't. I usually use it to like, I follow a lot of politicians and like, but even on Instagram, you might be like the most.
Okay.
Like, I don't follow, I don't follow like celebrities. I don't follow like the hot boys of West Hollywood.
Oh my God.
It's like, most of it's like cooking and babies and dogs and like, high school. I don't know. I feel like my social media is pretty lame. But
then the naked yoga guy.
And then the naked yoga guy. No, but because of how your work has impacted me. I mean, I can't say that enough. Like, I have the connection I have to my body, and I haven't even been to a ton of your classes, but what I gained from my experience in your class, and this is just my plug for people to go look you up. If you're in LA, find him. If you're in other countries, follow him. And he'll come to you. But it really did put myself in touch with my body in a way that I never had been. And it just goes to show that there is so much shame and trauma about our association with our body. And if our body and our soul is meant to have a marriage in this life, we've got to overcome that. Got to.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you.
Well, thank you for speaking with me today. I look forward to getting the feedback because you'll probably be like one of the more like titillating guests that I've had so far.
Oh, really?
Because like I said, it's been so much academia and theological.
Okay, got it.
No, I'm actually.
I feel like I kept it PG-13. I was pretty good.
Oh no, you did totally. We could have gone. We could have gone XXX. So not. Whatever. I don't care.
I know.
No, this is my fucking podcast. Lay off. We can talk about what we want to. Well, I'm still. I definitely will be back to a class. I just don't know.
I was gonna say, come back soon, please.
I will for sure. I will. I miss it, and I look forward. And I've turned a few people onto it as well, who have the same reaction that I did. So I appreciate you, Brandon. All that you do for the world, for the people that take your classes, and for being here today.
Yay. Thanks, man.
All right. Happy holidays.
Yeah, you too.
And all the people said, gay men. Thank you all for listening to another episode of the Fagnostic Podcast hosted by me, Matt Hayes. You can find me at matthayes.com. That's MATHAYES.com, or on just the millennial socials at Hayes on It. HAYES on it. Please go subscribe, review, and share this podcast. And in the meantime, peace be with all y'all.
Hi, Michael Spicer here. Matt Hayes forgot to put my name in the credits of his podcast as the composer, but I'm here to tell you that I wrote the music for his podcast. Whatever it's called, I don't know.